Good. Okay, our final speaker then is Dr. Anne Lim, who chairs the South East Midlands Local Enterprise Partnership, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what Anne has to say about the perspective from the LEPs.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Patrick. And lest you thought that the only people interested in East West Rail were a bunch of rail enthusiasts who want to get on the train or wave the green flag or whatever, I'm here. Predominantly of a male gender. I'm here actually to say how much business welcomes this, I'll not say anything about the gender issue, but there we go. Primarily, let me say I have been an enthusiast for this for the last decade. In another life, I was working with Patrick and indeed Jane in the audience here in Milton Keynes as chair of the Milton Keynes Partnership, the Urban Development Corporation for the development of Milton Keynes. And we used to have our meetings in public, we were required to. We had a rail enthusiast who turned up to every meeting and said from 2003-04, when we were first set up, when are you going to have this East-West Rail? And I just asked him to hold faith with it, as Patrick has said, and indeed it would come to light. I kind of said it would come to light perhaps for 2017 when Milton Keynes is 50. It'll be a little bit later than that, but nonetheless it has happened, and it has happened. I'm sorry they've left the room, but because of the extraordinary joint leadership given by MPs in conjunction with the many council leaders, and I know some of you who are in this room working in partnership together strategically across an area. And let me say that's what business wants, and that's what business really values. So well done to the national, the local, the regional political landscape for joining up. It certainly makes it a lot easier for business that very much wants this, and I'll explain in 2 or 3 minutes really why we want to promote this and have been keen to support it. So I'm just one of the LEP chairs in the area, but we are quite an important LEP, geographically speaking, as far as this East-West Rail is concerned. And we're important not just because of the national case that both Ian and Julian made, but because actually of the international perspective as well. Many of the businesses in the South East Midlands Local Enterprise Partnership area, and I'm sure the surrounding LEPs too, are small and medium-sized companies, supply chains to some of the bigger companies in the area and beyond. And they will grow because of export and because of trade overseas. And that's why it isn't just the Oxford-Cambridge arc. It is that international link to Felixstowe, Harwich in the east, and to the ports in the west and north and south. So I wouldn't want us to forget that international dimension from a trade point of view. So yes, we're a LEP in that area there, green. We're quite a big LEP, because 11 local authorities came together, mixture of unitary authorities and districts, some of those districts obviously sitting within Buckinghamshire, Oxfordshire and Northamptonshire as shire counties as well. But a sizable population and a growing population, 1.7 million, GVA nearly 40 billion, and as I've already mentioned, in SEMLEP, 75,000 VAT-registered businesses, largely SMEs. And perhaps a critical thing there is that we work closely with businesses across the other LEP areas. So just for the sake of putting it on the record, as it were, we work with the OXLEP very closely. We work with the Bucks Thames Valley LEP, with the Northamptonshire Enterprise Partnership, and of course with the Greater Cambridge and Greater Peterborough Partnership. And we have worked together to support infrastructure projects in the early-ish days from 2010, 2011 of this coalition government's interest in East West Rail. Actually, the LEPs put some money up at a time when the consortium needed a bit of support. In fact, in the end, it wasn't ever really drawn down and needed, but it lent support to a project that finally got the public funding. So just another variation on the map that I've shown, but to emphasise the importance of these east-west links. We're very well, or pretty well served with motorway links north-south, and of course with rail links north-south, although there are some improvements to those happening. But it really is that cross-country and beyond the Oxford-Cambridge arc, that kind of connectivity that will enable us to grow businesses, to create the jobs, which is, of course, what we're there to do as LEPs, or to work with you as local authorities to do that. So we really want to support the development. Very great news to hear what has been achieved already, and it really has moved on fast. But very much want to support the completion of that section from Bedford to Cambridge. So good to hear the last speaker update us on that, and to look at the plans for that. And I hope you'll very much engage with the Local Enterprise Partnership in that area as you develop your plans further. What are SEMLEP also giving to this? Well, actually, of course, the reason why the LEPs will be important to help this development going forward is because of the last bullet point there, and that's just one of the LEPs involved, because through the Local Growth Fund now, we're investing significant amounts of money to deliver business growth, job growth, and indeed the housing associated with it. So the infrastructure and the transportation links by 2020 will need to be in place in order for that benefit cost ratio that was first promulgated in relation to East West Rail to be delivered, but actually for the economy to keep on growing. So just in conclusion, let me say the reason why we call this catalyst for economic growth is that it absolutely is the catalyst to help us deliver our growth. And we have very significant growth targets. And in terms of the GDP figure, you heard Ian say what's estimated to be yielded each year in the Greater South East area. I've emphasised that missing link to Cambridge is really critical from a business point of view, and will join the area together and beyond the arc. And that actually internationally, in terms of the strengths in science, engineering, innovation, is critical. We actually have, I'm sure people know this, but this is of world scale importance. I mean, we have 6 out of the 9 Formula One racing teams and companies based in the southeast Midlands area and across the local authorities that are represented by the East West Rail Consortium. And that is of global significance in engineering terms, never mind just in terms of not the sport, but all that that sport means for what goes on in this country. And I know that's not rail, but it's an example of really looking beyond our national markets to the international scale of things. And finally, I've mentioned the point about the links to the East Coast ports and the opportunities, particularly for us as a LEP, but I know for our neighbouring LEPs, to really develop the HPT, high performance engineering, the manufacturing and advanced technology and logistics, which are key showcase sectors, key business sectors, key distinctive business sectors for this part of the country, and something which we in SEMLEP, and I think some of our neighbouring LEPs, really feel we want to get greater recognition for, with all this kind of national talk of development of the north, which is all very good. I originally come from the north, but actually we have to step up in terms of marketing ourselves and the communication links and the to close with Ian's reference to Bletchley Park, where I happen to be a patron. And if you haven't seen the Imitation Game, go and see it. Actually, I don't think you can see it yet because it's not quite open. But I went to a preview at Bletchley Park last week. It is a stunningly brilliant film, and it will bring in lots and lots of people to the area, hopefully by rail, as Ian said. But no, the really critical point here is that we have got to harness, by the teamwork that's delivered this, all the good things about this East-West Rail Consortium area, and we've got to sell that to politicians, and we've got to sell that on the global stage, and that's what we're here to help do as local enterprise partnerships. Thanks.